The city of Nelson, in the heart of the Kootenays, has traditionally been a center where peace activists come together. In the spring of 1986, the Nelson Museum honored these diverse groups with an exhibit called Peacemaking in the Kootenays, a visual history. This exhibit was coordinated by the Voice of Women under the guidance of Felice Davis of Nelson, British Columbia.
Felice, can you tell me about how people put this together and what groups were involved?
Yes, the Voice of Women were the ones that really started it. And they asked a lot of people to gather all the artifacts and archives that they could find for different activities that had taken place in the Kootenays. And we didn't even know how much there was. We were quite surprised to find a great many things. And
are these women from all over?
The Voice of Women is a national organization, and Nelson has had a branch, or chapter, I guess you call it, of the Voice of Women since it started nationally in 1960. And so part of the exhibit over here is a description of this 25 years, now 26, of Voice of Women in Canada. Important activity was in Halifax. There was a conference of women from all over the world, invited by the Canadian Voice of Women, to discuss alternatives to negotiating peace. Women are convinced that all the peace conferences are composed of men talking to each other, and so they wanted to have some input of some of their ideas, and it was a very successful conference.
Can you tell me something about this crane? It looks like a giant origami.
It is.
Folded.
This crane was made for a peace walk about 3 years ago, and it was carried by 4 women in the walk here in Nelson. And we're really happy to have been able to move it here to this exhibit. Magenta, the Friends community, which is near Nelson, and they use these in an exhibit at Lakeside Park.
And the dove says, "Are you following the light within you?"
Each dove has a quotation from a Quaker writer, and some of them go back to the 300 years ago. The Quaker exhibit is more leaflets, such as this one here, for some years now. And many Quakers are in demonstrations, as you can see in this picture here. And this is one of the early activities of the Quaker who helped the Japanese internees get into high school when there was some objection to them being students there in Caswell.
Can you tell me something about the Doukhobor's involvement?
Well, sure. That's on the end there.
Okay.
The description of a few moments. But they arrived in this area 70 years ago, and their presence has been the presence of a peace group, and they are the oldest ones.
Thank you. And now, did the Doukhobors and the Quakers get together?
That's right. Doukhobors were helped to come to this area by Quakers. And
were the Quakers here before the Doukhobors?
No, Quakers nationally helped them. I don't have all the details. A lot of that was given by speakers here, and I can't remember it all. But the two traditional peace groups have worked together very well over the years.
Felice, can you show me around the exhibit here?
Yes. This side shows some activities. This took place in Osoyoos, and various groups came together. And this was in Nelson and Castlegar. Over here, more activities from Castlegar District, and this is a new group here. This is the Christians for Peace, and they've just started a few months ago, and they are very active, all kinds of activities for families and children, especially.
See, this is a new movement. Would you say that the peace movement is growing and still active in British Columbia?
Oh yes, I certainly would say that. There are new groups coming all the time, and I suppose you're going to be interested in the Peace Walk in Vancouver, which is always
That's this weekend?
next weekend. And it's always a great event, and every year seems to be getting larger and larger. And so up here, these banners are part of the group of banners on the other side, and also the children's ones that were made down below. And these were all made in the Kootenays, and last summer in August, to commemorate the Hiroshima Day, there was a group of Americans who started the Ribbon Project, which you've probably heard about in Montana too.
Yeah.
Started in Colorado, and we joined up with them, and I took these banners from the Kootenays and tied them to the others, and they went all around the Pentagon and other buildings in Washington.
Did you go to Washington?
Yes, I went.
Wonderful.
And we brought them all back, and they've been used here a number of times to simulate and decorate various peace activities. So this end is the Amnesty International end, and we've got some of their posters and some of the activities of the people who write. The only group around here is in Castlegar. It was started by a man and his son, and George Richards. Little strings here. We used to have them hanging up, but unfortunately the tape, gave way, so they were hanging inside here. And they were made by this lady, Kinuku Lasky, who's a Canadian survivor of Hiroshima. She came here and married a Canadian. And her story is here, and she goes around now all over promoting peace. And she made these little cranes, and the story of the cranes was that if you would live, what was the story? Tell me.
Made 1,000 things your wish would come true.
Oh, that's it, right.
Your wish would come true.
Yeah. Yeah, and the little girl in the story didn't quite make it, one of the victims. And then this was our banner.
Who signed this?
And they were residents of the Kootenays, men, women, and children, politicians. We got as many as we could on there, and then that also was tied together with the other banners. And I guess you know about the Ribbon Project, and that the women who made the banners were expressing what they couldn't bear to lose in a nuclear war in their pictures. That was their what they wanted to say to the Pentagon with the ribbon. You've heard of that?
I've heard of that, except for the part about what they couldn't bear to lose.
That was the theme that they expressed. And then
I see. That's what is children
yeah,
here.
right.
It's
And
birds.
yeah. Banners, which were part of the ribbon too, were made by children at the Valican Hole School in Winlaw. And this was part of a poster contest conducted by the Voice of Women. And here are the first winners, these two, with their poster. And here's some Voice of Women presenting the awards. And this was another one of their posters. And here we have an exhibit about war toys. And the women in this area have been very active in trying to get businesses and manufacturers to stop producing and selling war toys. And here are some of the arguments used, which are excellent. And all the way over here is one of the earliest activities of the Voice of Women in collecting baby teeth and having them tested by scientists for the absorption of strontium-90. This is in the early 60s. Here is the Doukhobor exhibit you were asking about, and showing many of their activities. This banner will be leaving here any day now to go to Vancouver for the big peace walk there, which is the banner they always use. But they were able to have it here for the 2 weeks of the exhibit anyway.
I noticed,
Yes.
excuse me, I noticed there's a poster from Janelle.
Yes.
Can you tell me something about what happened at Janelle? Why Janelle is important?
Well, Janelle is a place where there were a group of people who objected to the mining of uranium. Is that what you were thinking of?
What happened after they objected?
Well, they succeeded in having the government of BC put a 7-year moratorium on the mining of uranium.
The moratorium's going to be...
It would soon be up, yes. It was 1980 when that happened. So there hasn't been any talk, though, about what's going to be happening. We don't know, but some of us are wondering. But the place where this lady lived, Jean, who made the banner, is not exactly near the mine, but she was one of the people involved in that, certainly. And the picture represents the brown hills around the Columbia River there, and the blue river, and then the yellow in the front is I think, the fields of, yeah, there. This was a really interesting group of young people from different countries.
What are the signatures up here? We see a group of signatures.
Yeah, these are the young people who came to Nelson and told their stories.
From Ethiopia, Haiti, Afghanistan, Israel, South Africa, Chile, Vietnam, and Guatemala. These young people came to...
There were groups of 10 who were sponsored, not just by the Doukhobors, but by the United Nations, the Nebrith Hillel Foundation, and Ministry of Youth and Secretary of State of Canada. All these groups sponsored a trip for 10 groups of 10 students from different countries who had been involved in war themselves. Their families had to flee, or their country isn't free, and they experienced some of them really terrible things, and they just told their stories straight like that.
Did they come to Nelson?
And a group of them came to Nelson, and this poster then was signed by the ones that came, and we listened to their stories and went that out. It was called the International Youth for Peace and Justice Tour.
This looks like a David Thompson Center. Is that this corner here? Is that where
Yeah.
the David Thompson University
These were
Center?
students in 1980 who were putting together a paper. And this is the high school, and work that they've done. This was an event that the whole school studied peace and everything related to it for a week in 1985. And this was the letting go of the balloons was kind of a climax of that week.
You and I in a little toy shop, buy a bag of balloons with the money we've got, set them free at the break of dawn. Till one by one they were gone. Back at base, box the software, flash the message. Something's out there, floating in the summer sky. 99 red balloons go by. Call the troops out in a hurry. This is what